This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community.
Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Our title sponsor is Community Matters, Inc. With nearly 20 years in the chamber industry and over 100 media awards presented to their chamber partners, Community Matters provides the R&R that every chamber needs, revenue and recognition. When it comes to publishing a chamber map, directory, or community guide, Community Matters has a trusted experience to help your chamber accomplish your goals. With different advertising sales models and publication styles, Community Matters will help you create a non-dues revenue machine. To learn how Community Matters can support your chamber with your next publication, please visit communitymattersinc.com/podcast to request your free media kit and request a proposal to find out what kind of non-dues revenue you can generate. You're joining us for a special episode in our 2024 Chamber of the Year Finalist series. And our guest for this episode is Heather Kasten. Heather is the president and CEO of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce. Heather is from a small town just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, and has been in the Sarasota region for over 14 years. She's currently the president and CEO. Prior to coming to the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, she was the president and CEO of the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance for 5 years. In St. Louis, she worked for Eli Lilly Pharmaceuticals and Six Flags Theme Parks in a variety of regional management roles. Heather's community involvement includes membership on the board of directors for Career Source Suncoast, United Way Suncoast, the Educational Foundation of Sarasota County, and she also serves on several local advisory councils, including the USF Muma College of Business Advisory Board and the 26 West Entrepreneurship Center Advisory Board. She completed Leadership Sarasota in 2014 and Leadership Florida in 2023. Heather received her undergraduate degree from the University of Iowa in Business Administration, and she has an MBA from Webster University in Management and Marketing. Heather and her husband Clint of 32 years and their 3 children enjoy calling Sarasota their home. But Heather, I'm excited to have you with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast. And first of all, I want to say a big congratulations to you and your team for being selected as a Chamber of the Year finalist. Very exciting. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to say hello to all the chamber champions that are out there listening and to be able to share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Brandon, for having me today. I'm truly honored. Our entire team here at the Sarasota Chamber, we are so thrilled and just blown away to have this recognition from ACCE. We're really looking forward to Dallas and just so grateful for this wonderful opportunity. Something unique about me, I would have to say, going back to my years at Six Flags Theme Parks, a lot of people, my husband used to joke that I run the rides, and truth be told, on some of those early spring days before all the high school kids, everybody from the CEO, all levels of management, were working in the park for those early spring days. And so, it's not too often you talk with somebody who actually, worked on the rides. Mine was the giant Ferris wheel. So got very comfortable saying, you keep your arms and legs and hands inside the ride at all times. Working for a theme park, it's fun, as you could imagine. Just a wonderful place. Did a lot of events there for a lot of companies, and just a really great time, in that period of my life.
Yeah. Did you ever have to dress up in costume at the theme park?
We did have to. Every ride had a ride costume outfit. So absolutely.
Wow.
So you never knew, if you were talking with a high schooler kid or you were talking with the CEO of the park, because we were all out there, all pitching in on those, those early spring days.
Spilling all the secrets. That's awesome. Well, tell us about the Greater Sarasota Chamber. Give us an idea of the size of your chamber, staff size, budget, scope of work, just to kind of set the stage for our discussion.
Sure. So our chamber, we have been around for 104 years. Going back to the early days, some of our things, that we focused on, as you can imagine, in Florida, going back 100 years ago, things like good roads, mosquito management, competing for tourism, trying to get people from the Northeast to come down and invest into the state of Florida. And obviously our scope of work has truly evolved over the last 104 years. But we work with about 1,400 local companies that employ about 60,000 employees in the region. Our team here, I always say we're small but mighty. We have 12 full-time and 3 part-time team members. And, I know we'll get into the discussion about some of the programmatic work that we do here. It's truly incredible what this small body of people, what we're able to accomplish with that, tide of a ship. We're always looking to diversify our economy. Sarasota, as you can imagine, very big in tourism and real estate. And a lot of the work that we do, is in that economic development space of trying to support other industries that make our community a little bit more resilient during, economic downturns. So I know we're going to talk about some of our programs later. We'll get into that. But we do a good portion of, probably close to well over 100 events per year, ranging in size and scope. Something, small and more, intimate type of events for 20 to 25 people, all the way up to last Friday, we hosted our Small Business Awards with over 600 people and a significant wait list on that event. Our annual budget is about $1.8 million. In annual revenue. And we'll get into it a little bit, but just, we're finding that, getting away from solely relying on membership dollars, and some of these programs that we've kind of brought under the umbrella, have really helped to, fund the mission and the work that we're doing here at the Sarasota Chamber.
That's great. Yeah. Anytime you can talk about non-dues revenue, ways to bring in the dollars, please feel free to interject that into our conversation today. I find it interesting where a community where tourism could be, viewed as kind of the bread and butter of the community, to be able to have your mindset on economic development. What do we do as, to keep the community thriving economically, even if there's a downturn or different times of the year where maybe tourism is not as popular, although in Florida, the weather's always beautiful, right? Yeah. So for the majority of our conversation today, we'll focus on the 2 programs that were submitted on your Chamber of the Year application, and we'll dive into the details and what those programs are all about as soon as we get back from this quick break.
Are you looking for a year-round, affordable, and timely shop local campaign for your chamber or CVB? Look no further. Build a custom Eat, Shop, Play mobile app with App My Community by visiting appmycommunity.com/chamberchat. App My Community mobile apps are not just simple membership directory listings. They provide many more capabilities to engage with your community. Provide your residents with a robust events calendar. Partner with a local fair, festival, or farmers market to provide a schedule, map, and other resources to promote the event. Run a Small Business Saturday campaign any time of the year using built-in scavenger hunts. Allow your membership to communicate directly to their customers via push notifications. Your App My Community mobile app will be a unique member benefit, allow you to generate non-dues revenue with sponsorship opportunities, and best of all, provide a valuable resource to your community. Please visit appmycommunity.com/chamberchat now to receive 10% off your first year of an App My Community mobile app. Are you looking for a way to grow and manage your Chamber of Commerce more effectively? Look no further than Chamber Nation. Their innovative software provides everything you need to streamline operations, engage members, and increase revenue. With features like event management, membership directories, advanced membership tools, mobile apps, community kiosks, and financial reporting, Chamber Nation makes it easy to run your chamber like a well-oiled machine. Don't miss out on this opportunity to take your chamber to the next level. Visit richardscalendar.com to learn more about Chamber Nation today.
All right, Heather, we are back. If you would, please introduce to us what the first program is you'd like to address that was on your Chamber of the Year application, and kind of what the origins of it were, and why that became an area of interest for your chamber to address.
Sure. The first program is called Career Edge. And we have a very, very strong workforce arm here called Career Source Suncoast, which works very closely in that workforce space. They deal with a lot of federal dollars. About 14 years ago, a program was created called Career Edge, which was funded by private funders. So foundations locally and really at a national level. Funded, put money into this fund, the Career Edge Fund. And what we do with that money is we look at what are the top industries. We look at the employers in our region. What are their needs? And then what are some career pathways where someone can get kind of that first level certification and really be put on a path, on a career ladder or journey, to be able to make more money over the course of their lifetime. And so for us in our region, the 5 industries that we really honed in on were insurance, automotive, healthcare is huge. And that's what we started with 14 years ago. Manufacturing, and then the trades. So think about HVAC, plumbing, electrical. We've moved a little bit into some logistics and transportation, as well as some technology, and as well as being on the coast of Florida, marine technology. So the ability to work on boats and marine products. But what we do is we partner with a training provider. So it could be our local State College of Florida. It could be an independent private training provider. We talk with our employers first. We find out what their needs are. We find a training partner, and then we market the program. We market it through here in Sarasota, and even within our chamber, we have over 200 nonprofits who are connected with a lot of these folks who are they're in a minimum wage job. It could be fast food. It could be, it could even be someone within a current company, someone working the linen room at the hospital, that someone sees some potential and possibility in. Then we put these folks through the training in one of these industry segments. We fully fund that training. If it involves buying tools, we purchase the tools. If it's healthcare and they need certain, vaccinations or all of those things are funded. We put them through the training, and then we place them in chamber member companies. So it's a win for the individual. It's a win for these companies. And when you look at the opportunities that are put before these people who participate in the training, it really does, change the trajectory of their lifetime income potential. It's such a phenomenal program. Over the course of the 14 years, we literally have trained thousands of individuals and place them with local companies.
That's awesome. So you shared a few examples of how you find these young people to get into the program, but are there other examples of how you find them to kind of fill that pipeline and pull the interest? I love that example of somebody working in the linen department in the hospital or something. But what are some of those resourceful ways of finding these people to join the program?
Yeah, well, the cohorts, we put them through because we do a lot of hand-holding and shepherding. These cohorts we do them in groups of 15 usually is kind of the magic number. And it can be, like I said, our community partners, our nonprofits. You'd be surprised, even the churches. Somebody's grandson is, not on the right path and grandma refers them to us. They come all different ways. So, of course, we do the traditional ways of, we do a press release, but really it's so much more organic than that. It really comes from these partners or even the Salvation Army or, it could be any of the nonprofits that we work with that refer them. And then, these people, they're where they are for a reason. They've had some life circumstances that have happened to them. And so we have a dedicated person, our Career Edge manager, who really comes alongside of these folks and helps them. If they miss a class, he's calling them. Hey, why'd you miss class last night? Oh, your car broke down? guess what? I'm going to send over a couple of Uber gift cards. Don't miss class tonight. Here's your ride to class. It's that level of intention and detail that help get these folks across the finish line.
Yeah. And so are you able to put any kind of tracker on these people who go through the cohorts to see their career development and kind of get some check-ins with them along the way?
They are checked in with through the entire program. Now, once they come out of the program and they're placed, it's a little bit hard to, keep tabs on that, but we have some incredible success stories. I mean, there's some folks that, constantly reach back to us and say, if it weren't for you, I'd still be flipping burgers, or I'd still be, whatever the minimum wage job is. But we do have every year that program, we hire an independent third-party evaluator. So it's not just, the chamber and Career Edge beating our chest of like, oh, look at the great work we did. We fund an independent evaluator to come in and really evaluate the work. Look at the wage increases. Like we track, okay, what wage when they started this program, they were at this wage. And when they completed the program, they were at this wage. And we can track those those differentials between, when they started and when they completed the program. And that's how every year we're able to go out and get this private funding. And that is really what differentiates us from Career Source Suncoast, which we refer people to them all the time. Because our money is private, there is no red tape. We make it as easy as possible to get these people into the program and then shepherd them through.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I know for a lot of people, their experience is as they go into a career option or enter the workforce, they're based upon their experience, what they've seen from their parents or mentors that are in their life. And if they don't have that example to look to or to be able to see what options are available, a program like this is so crucial, being able to just open their mind to what the options are and see, just how big the world is and what they can do. Is there an application process to get into a cohort? And what kind of things are you looking for on an application to justify somebody joining the cohort?
Yeah, it really depends on which industry segment. The insurance segment has different qualifications than the nursing, than the electrical cohort. So it really does depend. There is an application process, and we do some personality testing. This funding is so crucial, and we want to have the absolute best return on investment for our funders. And so we do some testing to see, is this person, are the odds that they are going to complete the program? And again, you have to keep in mind the population, that you are dealing with. They do come with some struggles and some things from their past. We don't just put them through the training. We also really incorporate some life skills training and some kind of emotional intelligence training, interviewing skills. So they're not going to their first interviewing and the first question they're asking is, how much vacation time do I get?
Right.
Really setting them up for success, helping them with their resume. So it's much more than just a job training program.
Yeah, I love that. I love seeing the opportunities for people to develop their careers and see their horizons be widened. So I can just imagine the sense of pride that you see as these people go through the program.
It really is, Brandon.
Yeah. So as we change gears to the other program on your application, tell us what that's about.
So another program that we have gotten private funding for through one of our local foundations is called our Opportunities for All program. And it has kind of two prongs. The first prong focuses on interns. So placing minority interns, uncovering what their interests are, and then placing them with companies that they can learn and grow through an 8-week internship process. And we fully fund that. So the employers, hold those pay stubs. And at the end of the 8-week internship, they submit the pay stubs to us, and then we reimburse that company fully up to $3,000 for that 8-week internship. We also, this year, something new we added an intern half-day conference called Spark. And that was actually just held this past week. We had about 70 local interns, 30 of which were our opportunities for all interns, but did a half-day workshop on, again, resume building, networking, mentoring, how to, connect with others, how to build their personal brand and network. So that's really exciting. These are interns who really would not have had any opportunity like this to actually work within a company and get paid in their field of interest. The other prong for the Opportunities for All program is minority business grant funding. So this program's been around for about 4 years. And last year, for example, we had probably close to 100 minority businesses apply. We funded 20 of the 100 that had applied, and we deployed about $100,000. So each minority business, had different asks. For some, it was, I need, some support to market my company. So we've, funded, 6 months of some social media advertising. For some, it was capital things like a laptop so that they could get their finances out of maybe their personal checking and into QuickBooks and onto a laptop computer. Every ask was different. The grants were anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 in nature. And then we really support these 20 companies. All were granted chamber memberships. We have programming throughout the year to support them, entrepreneurial classes that we partner with Izzy West, which is our business incubator here in Sarasota, to, again, come alongside of them and give them resources, solutions, and also funding to really help build their businesses. And that has been so rewarding as well. We've got some incredible success stories of companies that, have gone from, someone kind of doing it as a side hustle to, being able to, quit their corporate job and really come over into that entrepreneurial space.
Yeah, those $1,000 grant applications, when you said that, that really pulls at my heartstrings. That somebody's needing to ask for that amount to be able to make their business work. And I almost just on the amount want to make sure that those ones are awarded. But it's got to be tough to go through that many applications and find where the money goes. Yeah. So with both of these programs, you've mentioned the chamber's kind of footing the bill for a lot of these things, whether it's helping get supplies for someone entering the workforce or the vaccinations or reimbursing their pay for the 8 weeks in the internship. Do you mind speaking a little bit to how these are funded? You mentioned they're both privately funded. So how do you go about funding these programs?
So we have started, we really track our funders. So Career Edge, being that it's been around for 14 years, we probably have 8 to 10 funders. And we have 2 very large foundations here within Sarasota who really believe in that mission of workforce and upskilling workers. So they are great funders. The best thing, when you're out looking at grants is the flexibility of grants. There's some grants that are so limiting and narrowing that it's just impossible to fulfill, the requests of the grants. What's nice about the foundations that we work with, they support the funding of staff to run these programs, because as we all know, these programs do not run themselves. So without the funding for actual staff, these programs, they couldn't occur. They couldn't happen. And so, we every year are looking at, private foundations, whether it be the Walmart Foundation, whether it's Boeing Foundation, there are foundations who, you really have to invest the time to find out, what their missions are and what they invest in. And we've spent a lot of time doing that. And that's really how we've, come to have funders for both Career Edge and then, funders for the Opportunities for All program. These are foundations that, again, believe in this work. We're doing the work, and they fund it every year.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys have put in the work for sure. That's great. So I like asking, especially as you guys are a Chamber of the Year finalist, chambers across the country are looking to you guys and your example. So no pressure, but for what kind of tips or action item might you share for a listener who is looking to take their chamber up to the next level?
I've thought a lot about that question. And one of the things I think, I'll share two things. First is process. In the chamber world, it doesn't, we don't stop, right? It is, you finish one event and you're on to the next 10. So I'm a big believer in, setting up processes for everything that occurs under the roof of a chamber. And that way, when you do have turnover, which we all do, you've got a trail of breadcrumbs for that next person to come in and follow. So big believer in process. And then, I would say secondly, as chamber leaders, the importance of really taking care of your staff. I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, I've done everything in my power to keep the staff intact, to keep them encouraged and motivated and challenged, not overwhelmed. I don't want anyone showing up to work feeling, worn down, ragged out, exhausted, overwhelmed. I don't want to show up at a place and work like that. And so I would say the last 2 to 3 years, we've just been really hyper intentional of the things that we're doing with our staff, making sure that, we're having early outs in the summer. We're planning fun activities. We've got a beautiful new aquarium coming up in our town. And just last week took the team to do a behind the scenes tour. Nobody else got this opportunity but the chamber team. So I'm always looking for unique and special things to really bless them with, and just make sure that they are feeling good about the work and energized about the work. And that's something that you have to do with intention. It doesn't just happen, and the timing is never good. You can say, oh, well, we've got this big thing next week. Well, guess what? After next week, there's going to be the next big thing. So making sure that you're taking time to really engage your staff and build a culture that is one where people want to come and show up and work. And then for the chamber leaders and the CEOs, make sure, in the airline world, make sure you're putting your oxygen mask on as well, because you cannot pour into members, pour into your board, pour into your staff if you aren't refreshed and refueled yourself. And so making sure that you're taking that time. And listen, I need this advice as much as anybody. I'm giving it as if I'm I buy into it. You really do have to plan those intentional days, a half day, even if it's once a quarter, where you get out of the office and you clear your head and you give some thought to working on the business instead of working in the business. Those would be my couple of tips, Brandon.
Yeah. In fact, when you said process at the beginning, my mind went to what you just ended with, to be able to take that pause and to be able to process what you went through. So if there's a big event that you put on, to take time afterwards to process how things went and evaluate and take a breather, put on that oxygen mask and be able to kind of re-energize for the next thing. But to your point about taking care of your staff, I love that example of taking them out to that aquarium, that see the behind the scenes, something special just for your team. And of course, you want to be able to take care of them monetarily whenever you can, but we all know chambers don't always have the funding to take care, to pay what they're deserved, right? But to be able to have those opportunities really adds to that experience.
And, that's something that you do have to be intentional about too. I want our team to be paid as well as any, regular corporate job. So I feel that's my responsibility, is to, to find that money, to bring in the resources so that anybody working here at the Sarasota Chamber, has a really good, way of life.
Yeah, you're going to be flooded with applications now. I'm just kidding. No, seriously though, Heather, this has been great. I'd like to give you an opportunity to share any contact information for listeners who'd like to reach out and learn more about how you guys are doing things there at the Greater Sarasota Chamber.
Absolutely. Again, it's Heather Kasten. My email is hkasten, Kasten at sarasotachamber.com. I'd love to connect with anyone. I love bouncing ideas off each other. The great thing about the chamber world is I feel like there's so many opportunities to share best practices, As long as it's not, the chamber up the street, aside from that, I mean, the world is your oyster, right? For new ideas and fresh ideas. My office line here, 941-556-4050. And really just excited, love to talk chamber stuff. So anyone who'd like to reach out, I'd be happy to connect with you and learn, I'd really enjoy learning more about you as well.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And that's the whole point of this show, right? Share those best practices and be able to help people connect. So we'll post your contact information in our show notes for this episode so people can find it there. But Heather, this has been great. I've enjoyed having you on the show, and I wish you and your team best of luck. It's Chamber of the Year in Dallas.
We're so excited. We can't wait. Thanks so much, Brandon, for your, the opportunity today. Really enjoyed our conversations.
If you are a chamber professional, please subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. When you subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast, new episodes will show up in your podcast app each week as they are released. If you're finding value in this podcast, please leave us a rating and a review in iTunes. But most importantly, please share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues that are in the industry.